Okay, we're ready. Let's do it. So we'll start with our spine first. As always, this is our last get bent session. Okay, so we're going to just bias out the front split, just like the way we did last week. What we're going to do is we're going to start with feet fairly wide. Okay, to start off with, toes are face forward. We're going to slowly just tuck the chin onto the chest and start to roll the spine down. Nothing too crazy, so you may be able to touch the ground. Maybe you can't touch the ground. That's all good. But at the bottom, I just want you to take 2 nice deep breaths in. And when I talk about deep breath, try breathe in through the nose. Obviously, when you're ready, you'll slowly make your way up. Okay, and then we'll just kind of take our step in ever so slightly. Okay, I'm talking just ever so slightly. Feet are still fairly wide. We're going to tuck our chin onto the chest, slowly roll around up and back first, then make our way down. And again, no matter where you get, we'll look to kind of take 2 nice deep breath in. And when I talk about deep, we're talking breathing through the nose and looking to kind of breathe below the rib cage. Okay, so when you breathe in, think about, can you actually feel your tummy expand? Maybe the sides expand a little bit. Slowly making our way up. Okay, keep it going. When you come up, maybe we'll take our feet in a little bit closer again. Okay, and let's go. The rounding of the spine. Slowly making our way down. Again, we'll look to take 2 nice, slow, deep breath in through the nose. Slowly making our way up. Okay, we'll kind of walk our feet in, maybe about shoulder width apart, maybe even a little bit closer, depending on how tight you are, okay? And then this time what we're gonna do is, nice and simple, we're gonna still kind of take a little pause at the bottom, but not really like a long break. And the intention is we're gonna just slowly just kind of move up and down, okay? So think about how you're coming down with the spine, how you're rolling and allowing the spine to roll down to the ground. You're gonna come up the same way. So we're looking to articulate, 1 vertebra at a time. That's not going to be exactly true all the time, okay, because we will probably move in clumps, okay, but let's do our best. So nice and simple. We'll kind of just go for a minute, nice and easy, nothing to be rushed. Round. Legs are always straight and firm. Okay, again, maybe you touch the ground, maybe you don't touch the ground. That's all good. You're going to get yourself as low as possible. Take a slight pause and then slowly draw that tummy back into the spine. Keep your chin tucked in when you come up. The last thing to come up is that chin. Then we'll start that process again. Let's keep it going. We'll make this the last one. Okay. Finish at the top. Then we're going to go into a little bit of a side bend, okay? And again, nothing too crazy. So the big idea here from sideways is, obviously we can bend to the same side. We can also look to explore by, tilting a little bit forward. So letting the shoulder drop forward a little bit, because as we come to the side, that's going to have a different impact on the opposite side. Obviously, we can also fall backwards a little bit, so allowing the shoulder to drop backwards, right? So that's just a big idea. The way we're going to do this is we'll take one leg in front of us. So let's say left leg is the side that I'm going to be working. So I'm going to bring my right leg in front of me. The left side hand goes back behind the head, and the right hand, the right shoulder drops down towards the ground. Okay. This means the left shoulder dictates kind of what sort of stretch or loading you get and where. Okay, we'll come all the way up and then make our way down again. So again, you can explore different angles. And when I say angles, it's exactly that, just small progressive angles rather than big, diving to the side kind of thing. So slowly just stay connected throughout the movement. Make sure you breathe. Finish it off. We'll go to the other side. Nice and simple. We'll bring that left one across the right. The right side goes behind the head. And this time the left hand, left shoulder drops down towards the ground. And again, we can play. We're just coming up and down and then slowly changing the angles. Or you can stay at the bottom a little bit and actually throw a little bit of that, shoulder forwards, backwards, whatever. So you can actually change angles when you're at the bottom as well. So you can play and explore with whatever feels good for you. Okay, finish that off for you. And then from there, guys, we're going to just find ourselves a wall. And then we're going to go for a minute per leg on this. So a little reminder, we're going to effectively kind of explore. So kind of use a spine to load, spine to move the body. However, we're going to load the legs. Okay, so the way we're going to do that is, imagine, obviously I've got a wall here. I'm going to face away from the wall, okay, to a side. My feet, my outside leg, which is the outside furthest leg away from the wall, is going to face straight ahead. And then I'm going to place one leg onto the wall. Now, I'm just going to try and create an angle so you can see. Now, the leg on the wall, okay, all of the feet on the ground or the foot on the ground does not move. You can allow yourself to move the foot that's on the wall so you can pivot, okay? What we're going to be doing here, guys, okay, for a minute is just allowing the spine to move in any direction we want to, throwing a rotation, coming away from the wall, right? So effectively, you have the freedom to kind of move any direction you want to. I would suggest just taking it a little bit slow, spending a couple of seconds minimum in new positions, just to kind of see what that feels like, how that lands on you, okay? So don't, again, kind of be aggressive with this, just gentle control for a minute per leg, okay? We'll go in 4, 3, 2, 1. So obviously, if you kind of work towards the leg that's in the wall, you'll probably just feel that on the leg that's on the wall. If you were to be slightly away and more over the standing leg, you're probably going to feel that on the standing leg, okay? So again, play with different angles, spine. You can even get your hands involved to create a bigger lever. Slowly finish that move off, and then we'll go on over to the other side. Okay, same thing. Foot on, we'll go in 4, 3, 2, one. Remember, both legs are straight throughout. So all of the leg that's on the wall can be pivoted on. Okay. Both legs are firm. Okay, slow and controlled. We'll finish that off. Okay, so from there, let's get busy. So from here, guys, what we're going to get into is starting to kind of work, okay, from the ground up. So remember, front split is what we're biasing today. So I'm going to use a couple of yoga blocks. Obviously, if you don't have yoga blocks at home, you maybe a couple of cushions, or maybe even, you know, a couple of really thick books. There's something that you can use, okay? Now, we're going to start with something that we call tib stretch. So just so everybody's on the same wavelength like last week, tibs are these muscles in front of our shin a little bit. And obviously their job is to pick our toes up, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to lengthen them, okay? And really, if you're super tight, you don't actually need that block. You can simply just sit back onto your heels like so, okay? We're going to be using the block just to kind of get a little bit deeper into it. So the way to kind of do that is simply place the laces of your foot onto the blocks or whatever you're using to elevate your feet, okay? A couple of details here. The less of you on there, you can see there's going to be a bigger gap. So it's going to be a little bit more intense, right? So more of you on there, okay, the less intense it's going to be. So just be mindful, okay, whatever, those details do matter, okay? And the intent with everything that we do is around, you know, that stretch tolerance. So we're going to be holding majority of the work for 90 seconds, a minute and a half, which is, you know, not a short time. It's not the longest time, but it's enough to kind of, you know, start to want to feel around, come out of it and things like that. So the general rule that we'll have for all the work that we do today is that we need to be able to sit into whatever stretch we kind of go into for at least 20 to 30 seconds before making any adjustments. So what I mean by that is if it's too aggressive, okay, so, you know, if you feel a stretch in the first 10 seconds and you probably can't hold it for 30 seconds, you know, doing that for a minute and a half, it's just not going to be, you know, it's not going to make sense, right? So make sure you choose the right intensity. So if we're good, let's place the feet, nice and simple, nothing too crazy. And then we're going to go in 4, 3, 2, 1. And all we're looking to do right now is just sit that butt onto the heel. And you can think about tucking the hips underneath you a little bit if you want to feel it a little bit more. Okay, spine is vertical, the ribs is down, so we're not overarching our back. And if you really want to feel it more, you can just, you know, sit back ever so slightly. So your weight is more, okay, over those heels, okay? Of course, if you wanted to regress it, you would just simply reach a little bit more forward, okay? Or hinge a little bit more forward. So we're using our own torso, own body weight as the load, okay? So be mindful. Okay, so breath is, again, another really important tool that I want to bring attention to right from the start. You know, kind of, we talked about that stretch tolerance. It's probably an indicator if you're holding your breath or like, you know, having to take these deep, sharp, you know, kind of breaths like that sort of thing. It's probably a little bit too hard, huh? So make sure you regress it as you need to. Okay, So slowly leaning forward. You can just slowly kind of just, make some circles of the ankle just to kind of get the blood flow back down there again. Okay, and then when we're good, what we're going to do is we're just going to tuck the balls of our feet underneath us. Okay, and we're going to go straight into something called the plantar stretch. So plantar is the surface underneath your feet. Okay, and if this is again really tight, if this is really uncomfortable, what you can do is whatever you use, you can slowly kind of elevate your hips high, and that's going to be a little bit less, okay, weight or load or intensity. Okay, but if you're good, we're going to just simply sit back in here. Okay, and we'll go straight into it in 4, 3, 2, 1. So same thing here. We need to be able to comfortably be in this position for first 20 to 30 seconds. That's a good gauge. Okay, because the stretch will build as the time goes. Okay. So nice and tall posture. Trying to kind of keep that hip over the heel. Okay, I'm using blocks. Even just if you need a little bit of support, that's totally fine. Halfway. This can be really, really uncomfortable for quite a lot of people, okay? Just because extending our toes is not a common thing. I say not a common thing. Okay, a lot of people struggle with it. And obviously, there's a lot of weight or intensity to this work, especially as the time goes. Some of you may even feel this with the front of your shin right now, like the firing sensation. So the tips we just stretched out are working now the opposite way. And that's time. Slowly leaning forward. And again, we can just wiggle those toes, make some circles of the ankles, get the blood flowing to the foot. Now, from here, we're going to stand up. We're going to go into the calf. Okay, so far we've done the front of our shin, the underneath our feet. Now we're going to work the back of the legs a little bit. Okay, and again, if you have a step, a block, whatever you just had, okay, we can just use that because we're going to just prop our feet up against that thing. So we just need a little bit of a way or a medium to raise the feet, okay, the toes in particular, okay? So I'm going to use a slant board. Now, whatever you're using, what I would suggest, guys, is that you are near a wall or somewhere where you can sort of kind of, rely on. So effectively, balance does not become an issue. So for me, I'm going to use a slant board, but I'm also going to use a dowel because I'm going to be in the middle of the room. Okay. I'm going to use 2 dowels. So again, balance should not be an issue. Now, what we're going to do here, guys, okay? So whether it's, kind of slant board, book, step, whatever you've got, the key thing here is just be mindful of, okay, what direction the toes are facing, because you're going to get a different sort of loading. So some people may feel this, kind of turned in a little bit more straight ahead. Some people naturally will turn their feet out quite a bit, okay? So just to kind of keep everybody on the same wavelength, let's kind of make sure we have the toes facing forward. And also that way the hips can start to face forward too, okay? So we keep that parameter the same. And if you're not feeling much, okay, after the first 20, 30 seconds, then you can just, play with the foot positioning for you. Cool, that's a refinement for yourself. So if you're ready, we'll go in 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, now, as we stand tall, a couple of things. We need to make sure that the stretching leg needs to be locked out. Okay, so meaning like my quads are going to be firm. Now, if I say to you, try tuck your bottom underneath you. So try going to that posterior tilt and try drive your hips forward towards that wall or wherever you are, okay? And that should hopefully kind of intensify or move this a little bit more towards that belly of the calf, okay? In fact, so you're gonna feel it wherever you need to, okay? From here, we talk about, doing the smooth criminal, right? So the tendency is, or the feeling is that we need to kind of lean forward to feel it more. So yes, we do want to lean forward, but not from like hinging at the hips, but rather driving the hips forward. So you're trying to fall forward at the ankle joint, okay? Last 30 seconds coming up. Also be mindful of the weight distribution, okay? So, you know, that supporting leg, you know, kind of, can you use it to push you over more to the working leg a little bit? Can you drive your hips forward? Is your hip square? Slowly backing it up. Okay, so if you're ready, we'll go straight into the next side, huh? Okay, boom. We'll go in 4, 3, 2, 1. As always, you know, we'll probably have one side that starts to scream a little bit earlier than the other side did. Okay, so just be mindful. So as we always talk about, you know, don't try to force yourself aesthetically. Think about the more the underlying principles. So A, are you standing nice and tall? Can you squeeze your thighs? Can you tuck your bottom underneath you? Can you drive your hips forward? Right, and that sort of kind of will dictate what your position will be. Now, keeping all those parameters on, you can then obviously fall forward at the ankle joint if you wanted to feel this even more. We're approaching the halfway mark. So if you needed to make any refinements, you sort of can do that now. What I mean by that is if you wanted to, you know, experiment with turning your toes out a little bit, you can, or in for that matter, okay? Or if you're feeling a great stretch like this, just leave it as it is. Thinking about that breath. And then slowly backing it off. Okay. Alrighty, so what we'll quickly do is we'll give the lower body a little bit of a rest, okay? And we're gonna just quickly move on upstairs and we're gonna go into our little bit of a bow and arrow and our T-spine rotation. So, you know, remember a couple of weeks back, we were kind of obviously working on more back bend type of work, okay? So these are the obviously the moves we're using there. So it's just nice to kind of move and load the spine a little bit. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna be laid up on the ground, as you know, for the bow and arrow. Knees are gonna be really high. This is to block the lower back, okay? That's just a little reminder. From there, what we really want to kind of do here, guys, is the top hand is the working hand. Okay, now before I start to kind of move with the head position, it can sometimes get a little bit tricky, okay, or a little bit uncomfortable for some. So just be mindful, you can always prop something below your head, but it is okay to come down or up, okay? Now, from there, the top hand, we're going to reach forward. So we're actually spreading the shoulder blades at the top, and then we're going to draw an arrow. Okay, now as we come back, the elbows come back, our objective is wherever that movement sort of stops, we're going to look to drop the elbows by squeezing the shoulder blades. And then we'll kind of restart again. So from the other side, just as a reminder, yes, we reach forward, we come back into this trajectory, but then we're looking to drop the elbow towards the ground. And that's the rotation, that's the thorax rotation that we're going to do, hopefully get or increase over this set. Okay, so if everybody's ready, we'll go for 10 reps and try to stick to my tempo. We're going to obviously pause for a little bit at the back position. Okay, here we go. So reaching forward and draw, pause for 1 and draw, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then let's switch. Okay, so again, knees are stacked on top of each other. They're quite high. We get heavy from the lower body. Okay, hands stacked. We're going to reach forward, draw the arrow, drop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alrighty, so from here, go into the other side again. We'll go into the T-spine rotation. So for this, same thing, we're going to still be in this sideline position, but our bottom leg is straight this time. And then we're going to bring our top knee quite high. Again, this is going to help block the lower back up, okay? And also it's going to keep us heavy on this side, okay? Now, the bottom arm is going to actually trap that top knee. So again, the intention here is not to allow this leg to lift off, okay? So we've got the bottom arm working with the top leg. Now, what that means is this free top arm is the working arm. And our intention here is to create as much space in the shoulder joint as possible, while also looking to hover as close to the ground as possible. So there are two things that are happening. Now, what I'll say is don't try set PBs right off the bat. Slowly, we're going to do 10 circles. And, you should be hopefully getting a little bit heavier and hovering a little bit closer and closer to the ground. However, if you start too close to the ground, what can sometimes happen is we tend to lift this guy because we get heavier. Also, we may not be actually creating as much of a space. Okay, so the priority is to think about the hands going away from your body, no matter where your hand is in space. So at this top position, I am reaching away. At the back position, I'm reaching back to the wall. Okay, obviously down, I'm reaching down. Okay, so we want to make sure there's plenty of gapping in the shoulders. Okay, obviously at the top position, which is round about here, you're going to have to turn the shoulder joints in the socket itself. And this is why we need that space, okay, in the shoulders throughout the movement. So all we're going to do, okay, for 10 reps is reaching, looking at the hand for as much as possible. At a certain point, we'll have to turn, come down. Let's do it. Here we go. We'll call that 2. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, to the other side. Okay, so the top knee is quite high. We'll use the bottom hand to trap that top leg. From there, top arm is the moving, working arm. Here we go. Reaching, looking down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, so from there, we'll kind of go back onto our legs, okay? And what we're going to get into here, guys, okay, is we'll need to set up for a couch stretch. So if you have a couch, let's use the couch. I'm going to use the wall, okay, because the wall puts a little more stress on the stretch, okay? Now, a couple of details with this. So, traditionally, we've done this. I've set this guy up on the box. So I'll just kind of quickly demonstrate the point, okay? So let's say at a couch at your home, okay, it might be better to do it there rather than a wall because I'll do it on the side so you can see it. The laces of the feet, okay, go like so, right? Which means you can actually work and open the quads up for you because obviously on the wall, you're going to have your laces of the feet, which may be a limiting factor, okay? So, if you don't have, or if you have really stiff ankles, it may prove doing this on the wall a little bit tricky, okay? So choose the right thing or what's available for you, okay? And then the cues are similar, okay, or the same pretty much, okay? We want the back needs to be as close to the wall as possible, but without us having to sacrifice the spine. So meaning we shouldn't be like, arching our back like this to kind of just come up. We want to make sure the ribs are down, okay? And then that way, whether we come forwards or back, okay, we should be able to just feel this through the belly of the quads, okay? So if everybody's good, we're going to slowly make our way down, okay? And then from there, we're going to slowly, in count of 4, posture up. Now again, maybe the first little bit, we're not too close to the wall. We're actually keeping the ribs down, just sitting down with this for that first 20 to 30 seconds, just feeling what's to come. Okay, our job right now is to make sure our hips are fairly square. We're using the front leg to push ourselves back into the back leg. Okay, as the body yields, we can start to posture up a little bit or push yourself a little bit further back. Again, without really, arching from the lower back aggressively. Okay, last 30 seconds coming up. And what we're going to do here, guys, for the last 30 seconds is we're going to drive the hips as far forward as possible by driving the front knee forward. So now the butt's not trying to come to the back heel. We're trying to still keep the ribs down and drive our hips down to the ground. It really helps if you have the back glute trying to help you to do this. Okay, so think about tensing your back buttock to drive you more forward. And then slowly, I'm backing it up. Boom. Okay, we'll go to the other side. Again, same setup. Okay, if everybody's ready, we'll slowly look to posture up. And again, one side may be dramatically more restricted than the other. So again, apply the principle. So in this one, you may not be postured up as much straight away. Okay, so think about keeping the ribs down, using the front leg to push yourself back to the back butt, to the heel. As the body starts to yield, that's when we can start to posture up a little bit better. Sometimes, reaching back with the hands just to kind of see where the wall or sofa or whatever you're working with is helps because it tells you how far you are. Then think about, again, making sure you're tall without overly arching. We're coming up to that last 30 seconds, and you guys know what to do. We're going to be driving forward. Now, that may mean you may need to adjust your front feet too. Okay, here we go. We're going to drive forward. Glutes are coming into play. Ribs are still down. And glutes are on. And then slowly hinging down and rest. Okay, so from here, okay, before moving on to the back of the legs with the hamstring, we're going to go into the buttocks. Okay, so we're going to go into our simple pigeon pose stretch. We're going to hang out here for 1.5 minutes as well. And again, as a little reminder, okay, or as a little regression, we can just be simply in 90-90. I'm doing the other side so you can see better. You can simply be in 90-90, and then we can just throw that hip forward, and you're going to feel this through the outside of the hips and the front leg. And this is plenty, okay? This is, of course, if you are going to struggle with the pigeon pose, because the pigeon pose is effectively the same thing, give or take, but we're going to be throwing that hip across, okay? And we want to have this sort of position, okay? Now, of course, if we have to like have more of this sort of kind of angle or regression, then it's better to kind of just sit in 90-90 and throw ourselves forward, okay? But if we're good, we can just, boom, bring ourselves over, okay? And then from here, as the time starts, guys, what are a couple of things before the time starts is I want you to think about, okay, back leg lengthening back behind you, okay? The front toe curling towards your shins as well. From here, we're going to slowly place the elbows underneath our shoulders. Okay, time is about to start. And then from here, you can make a couple of fists like so, and then, or shakas, whatever you want to do. And then you can slowly just rest our forehead on top of that fist. So now the spine is fairly passive. We've got this passive load, passive weight, giving the intensity into the stretch. Okay, that's 30 seconds gone. And if you guys feel good, you want to take it a little bit further, you can just simply start to walk your hands a little bit more forward. Maybe the forehead rests on the ground. But again, you're not looking to crank anything. Think about the quality of the breath. That's what dictates the quality of the stretch. Okay, so slowly bring your hands under your shoulders, pressing yourself up, and boom. Then we can come out of it. And then we can just drop on side to side if you want. But otherwise, when you're ready, let's go to the opposite side. Okay. So again, 90-90 is an option. But if you're good, we're going to throw that, boom, okay, across, square ourselves up as best as we can. Okay. And again, from here, just think about what we need to do, position where we're in. And again, one side will feel a little bit different to the other. So again, follow the principle rather than trying to forcing yourself into, you know, what seems aesthetically pleasing. Okay, so be mindful. From here, we'll take the elbows to the ground. Okay. Then when we're ready, we're gonna make a fist, rest our forehead on top of that fist, and just bring attention to what the rest of the body's doing. Can I be square? Now, if you don't feel, you know, a crazy amount of stretch straight off the bat, that's okay. Just stay patient. okay? If you feel crazy amount of stretch straight away, just think about, okay, can you back it off a little bit? What's the best way to do that? Okay, this is 30 seconds already gone into that minute work now. So if you feel confident, if you want to take it a little bit further, you can just stretch your arms in front of you as your forehead rests on the ground. Okay, so we still need the spine to be fairly passive. Okay. Think about being lengthened both through the hands and your feet. Slowly bring your hands under your shoulders, press it up, and then boom, rest. Okay. So from here, we're going to go into our Hammy Chaos. Okay, something we introduced last week. So for this, we'll need to be near a wall again. Okay, I'm going to use a box so you can see what we want happening. Okay, so remember, guys, we're attacking the leg here, the hamstring in particular. Okay, so imagine this is the wall. Okay, we're going to effectively have one knee up and then boom, okay, the other leg straight in front of us. Now you can see this feet that's on the box here, but you'll have it on the wall. If you have that, you know, kind of yoga block or bulk or whatever you were using before, if it's accessible, if it's handy, you can just boom, place that. The intention here is to have the feet flush as possible. That way you can focus on really using all that surface area to push the wall away from you. Okay, now a couple of details. What's happening here is we want the spine to be tall. So your wall is obviously going to be somewhere around here. You can simply be falling forward with the wall here. I'm going to be reaching down a little bit, but the intent is we want to try to keep the spine as long as possible, and we're kind of like closing the gap between our torso and our lower body here. Okay, that's what's going to apply the load. Now, while that's applying the load, the cues that we want to kind of go through in our head is pushing the feet into the wall as much as possible. And while that's happening in the lower, we want to, in the upper, try to bring the hips back into socket. So we're sort of kind of pushing down here and then pulling back into the socket. And that's what's going to create a little bit of a length through the back of the legs, okay? We're going to do this for 1 minute. And then at the end of the minute, I'm going to say to you, okay, put the toes up, posture, and we're going to do a leg lift, 10 leg lift to be precise, okay? So then now in the intent is keeping that same stretch. Can we use the front of our hips to pick our legs up? Okay. So without further ado, let's get ready. All right. Let's get ready, Vic. So we're going to go for a minute here. Okay. And we'll start that minute in 5, 4, 3. Start to hinge. Find that stretch already. And here we go. We're going to start to press the feet into the wall, pull the socket, okay, or pull the hips back into that same socket and breathe. Then look to melt over a little bit more, okay? So again, push the feet into the wall as if you're pressing the brakes in the car or a clutch, okay? And then bring the hip back into the socket. So you're, while pressing down to the feet, you're pushing or pulling your hip back in the socket. Breathe. Make sure you're still square. You're still long at the spine. And you're looking to close that gap between the torso and your lower limb. Okay. Again, push that feet, pull the socket, close the gap. Okay, so from here, strong position posture, toes pulled back. Let's go into the leg lifts. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, hold for 5, 4, higher, 3, 2, 1, and down. Okay. Let's go on over to the other side, okay? Here we go. So again, leg is straight, find the angle, tall. We'll start the time in 5, 4, 3, start to press the feet, pull this, okay, hip back in the socket, and posture. And again, make sure you're not, falling to the side. Make sure you are square. Push, pull, and then hinge a little bit more if you got it, okay? And push the feet, pull the hip back in the socket, and then melt over more. Push, pull, hinge. Use your breath, that's a tool. Okay, make sure the hips are nice and square so you're not falling to the side. Okay, this is very, very common. Okay, so the knee that's on the ground, push into that to bring yourself more in alignment with the wall. And let's take that away, pull the toes back, posture nice and strong, and let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here we go. Hold. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And down and rest. Beautiful. Okay, guys. So from here, we're going to still use I'm going to use the box. Okay, so you've got a couple of options here. We're going to quickly make our way upstairs again. Just 2 things for the shoulders. Okay, so we looked at the spine a little bit and also the shoulders, to be fair. Okay, but now we're going to look at the shoulders and different light. So the first thing that we're going to do is our shoulder extension. Okay, now if you don't have a couch, okay, that's okay. You can just do this on the ground. You can try this on the wall, but it may not work as well. Okay, now also it's really important to understand that height, okay, plays a key role during the stretch. Okay, so what I mean by that is if you don't have the ability to bring your hands behind the head, right, or behind the head, behind the back, then trying to get in something high is just going to mean we're going to be rolling down. So be mindful. That's not what we're looking for. Okay, now we're going to be going for a minute and a half here as well. And just like the Tuesday session, okay, we want to be, again, be progressive about this. So what we're going to do is we're going to just find the hands back behind us. Now, I like to have at least my forearm, okay, near my elbow joint onto the surface so I can focus on pushing down. So look what happens when I think about pushing my arms down. I'm actually lifting myself up to the ceiling from my torso. Hopefully you can see that. The light or the sun is directly on me, okay? So you may not see me as much. Now from here, we can also then scoot that butt away and then we're just applying that load, okay? So all we're doing here is just hanging out for a minute and a half in this position that we call shoulder extension, okay? So let's have a look what happens. So we'll go in 4, 3, 2, 1. So like everything today so far, okay, if it's screaming already, you need to back it off. If you're feeling like, yeah, it's not too bad, that's good, sit it there. And let's make these little adjustments, which is going to be squeeze the shoulder blades, okay? Push the arms down, or if you're working on the ground, put your hands or push the ground away from you. Neck is nice and long, and this may mean looking up to the ceiling a little bit for most of us. From here, again, look to squeeze the shoulder blades as you push down more. Okay, think about lifting that ribcage up as you squeeze the shoulder blades forward to poke that chest more forward. No one should be dumping into the lower back. So make sure you lift out of the lower back. And then slowly walk back and rest. Alrighty, from there, that was the arms back behind us. Now we're gonna go arms above us, okay? So again, I'm gonna still use the boxes. You can obviously use the wall, floor, or a couch, whatever is available to you. And then just like last week, what we're gonna do is a couple of the rules that we'll have is we'll kind of make sure we talk about this, wrapping at the armpits. So we need to make sure we're strong and stable at the shoulder joint, okay? Another way to look at it, visualize it sometimes is to think about your shoulder blades are gonna be facing down to the ground at all times. They're gonna try to wrap around the shoulders, okay, no matter where you are in space. From there, we're gonna use our hips as a way for us to dictate the intensity. So the work is going to be knees are apart, we're gonna walk back. Okay, now we're going to go to posterior tilt initially. So we're going to tuck our hip underneath us, and then we're going to wrap the armpits as we come down towards the ground without really diving forward with the neck like so. We need to make sure the neck is nice and long at all times. Okay, so my butt's tucked, so come down. The second portion to this is going to be slowly arching our lower back. So now we're going to the anterior tilt, okay, which means we come closer to the ground. Okay, we'll do this for 30 seconds. Then the last 30 seconds, you can play with whatever feels good. Bit of both, okay? Yeah. So last, we're gonna go for minute and a half, 30 seconds in posterior tilt, 30 seconds in anterior tilt, and last 30 seconds, whatever makes you feel good, okay? You can play or transition between those two positions at the hips. So if you're ready, let's have a go. Hands are ready. Okay, we'll go in 3, 2, posterior tilt, and boom. Okay, so although we're tucking our hips and wrapping our shoulders, our intention still is to bring that torso as close to the ground as possible as one unit, okay? Nothing should be felt at the front of the shoulders. That's a big no, like pinching sensation or trapping sensation. Most of us feel this through this, give or take, armpit area or the mid-thoracic. From here, when you're ready, let's go to the anterior tilt. So you're going to drop that belly button down to the ground. Your chest is going to poke through probably more. Make sure your neck is still long. Still looking to wrap the armpits as much as possible. But keep dropping that rib down towards the ground. Last 30, free fall. Okay, so whatever feels good for you guys. Make sure the neck's long. And from there, walk your knees in first, and then slowly back it off. Woo. Alrighty. Good job, people. Good job. Okay, so last move, then we are done. We are literally done and done. Okay, so we're going to go into our front split work directly. Okay, so if you're working on a hard floor, I would suggest having something underneath your knees. Okay, that's going to help you. Last week, we talked about having a support on the outside. I would probably suggest like having something on either side. Okay, so you don't want the balance to be like the major issue when you're trying to load certain structures up. Okay, so I was using the boxes last week. I'm going to try and use the yoga blocks today. Okay, so what we're going to be doing here, man, it's bright, huh? It's bright. It's amazing. Hopefully you can see this. Okay, so effectively what we're going to do here, guys, is we're going to a recap first. So throughout the session, what we've already done is looked at the
underside of our feet, front of our shin, back of the shin, okay, back of the calves, okay, back of the legs, front of the legs, the butt, right? And also obviously a little bit of shoulder, spine work. So really kind of what we're doing now is like looking to put those all elements together, okay? Not in an active sense, this is a static, okay, but passive. So we're holding it for time, but as passive as possible. You'll see, you know, you're gonna still have to work a little bit here. So what I want to see happen here is the best way to set this guy up that I found is the front leg is straight, and then I can sort of kind of make my way back, okay, by taking my back leg back behind me, okay. Now, what I would suggest also here is, you know, having the support to do so. We need to be in this position for 30 seconds, okay. That's the goal in each. And again, that's not a very long period of time if you think about it compared to the work that we've already done. But traditionally, we would normally kind of do a couple of sets of these, okay, to accumulate time. So, you know, do our best. Okay, let's see where we're at. Okay, we'll go for 30 seconds. Bear with me. Let me just start my clock so that way okay, I know where I'm at. Okay, we'll go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So making sure you're nice and square. Think about the couch stretch on the back leg. Your butt should be on, torso as upright as possible. Think about that Hammy Chaos of the front leg. Okay, you're lifting at the hips. Pull the hip back into the socket. So glutes on the back leg. Okay, hips are being lifted at the front leg. Sounds really weird. And slowly back out of it. Not bad. Okay, let's go to the other side. Okay, and we'll go in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. So again, just like everything else, okay, we need to have that stretch tolerance. So again, if it feels extreme for the first 5, 10 seconds, it probably means it's too extreme. We need to be able to be in a way that we can allow the nervous system to calm down. Okay, that's what's going to allow us to get more range over time. So not setting PBs. Okay, it also allows us to then refine things. Back butt, front hip, posture, breath, and time. You guys got one more in you? Just give me this if you think so. You got one more in you? Yeah, cool. Let's do one more. Okay, so we accumulate 1 minute in total. Okay, so we'll go to the first side again. We'll do 30 seconds only. So still 30 seconds work. So it becomes 30 seconds times 2. Okay, so this is closer to how you want to accumulate time. Okay, so if you're good, let's bring it on. I have forgotten which side that I did. I think I did this. Okay, all right, we'll go in 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boom. I screwed up. It's the same side I just finished on. So again, glutes are on and the back leg. Lift the front hip up. Okay, so you're shortening the front hip. And time. Okay. Screw it. I'll stay to the same side. If you guys are ready, let's finish it up. Okay. We'll go in 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oof. Four, three, two, one, and alrighty. Bring it over, guys. Let's have a chat. How we doing?
Good.
Made it. We're done.
Yay. Hey, we graduated.